I have every right to walk down there. You can surround me all day night. We've already killed 800 of us, one more won't out, won't it? Be careful. Wearing masks in the street. Are you kidding? Are you provoking something over here, okay? Look at the man! Scum.
Very much. It's a peaceful protest.
Oh, it's a peaceful protest.
Leave him alone.
Yeah,
it's a peaceful protest.
If it's a peaceful protest, why are you masking up?
Yes,
Terrorist bastards! Right, carry on. Hamas supported them!
I'm back, mate.
You have to wake up and understand that we are now threatened, because the same people who are legitimizing the killings of Jewish people inside Israel, the same people would legitimize the killings of you and me and our families in the same way. They always have their excuses: colonialism, imperialism, wars in the Middle East, burning the Quran, drawing Muhammad. You know, we have to stand up for ourselves. We have to make sure we are safe, because the people of Israel thought they were safe that morning when the terrorists came in and killed them, slaughtered them, burned them alive. The same thing happened to the people who are in the towers. This is not about Palestine. It's not about land. It's about the hatred of Jews. That's why Jewish communities, minorities in the West are threatened and have, you know, are in need of protection from the police and even military. In Denmark, the military has been put in place to protect the Jewish minority in various places. This is not acceptable. We need these dangerous people around us gone. We need to prosecute them and deport them. This is not against human rights and democracy and so on. We do not need people who see themselves as our enemies among us. First of all, rest in peace, Palestine. Hamas just killed any dream any Palestinian could have about a future Palestine. I really believe this. I don't think there's any way for a future Palestine. I think that this horrific terrorist attack just killed any possibility for a two-state solution. And we haven't chosen this enemy. This enemy has chosen us. But we have to understand that no matter how we feel about it, they see us as the enemy. And don't you for 1 second think that you living in the West as a Westerner, that you are not being targeted in the future if these people, if these terrorists, because if you support terror, if you incite terror, you are a terrorist. These terrorists among us in the West who are celebrating, who are happy about this attack in Israel against the Jews, they will legitimize, in the same way they're legitimizing the killings today, they will legitimize the killing of you and your families. This is very important to understand. When you are not a Muslim, you are a target of militant Islamists. And we have a huge problem on our hands, even in our, even in the Western world today. And we need to have Muslims leave voluntarily if they don't want to support Western democracies and liberties and free speech and so on. And we have to make them choose between our way of life and the Islamist way of life. And we need to deport the terrorists among us. There is no room for terrorists among us, right? We cannot tolerate that. We cannot just sit around and think that, oh, it will be fine, it will be okay. We have thought this and we have thought there is a way to integrate these people. They don't want to be integrated. Their agenda is not being a part of, Western civilization. They want Hamas's violence, hatred against Jews and infidels, and we are the infidels when we are not Muslims. Even the Muslims that don't support the Islamists are seen as infidels. Even the Muslims who want to reform Islam are seen as infidels.
I drove past a Jewish restaurant. Its windows had been smashed. Scrawled on a bridge above it was "Free Palestine." To think that there are people in this country that are celebrating this brutal murder, that are visiting Jewish neighborhoods, and their reaction isn't one of sympathy and compassion, but to smash our businesses and try to intimidate us on these streets where we've lived, where my family's lived for centuries. It's truly heartbreaking. I've never felt so alienated from this country as I do today. I was expecting the media to show compassion. I was expecting all of my neighbors to show compassion. Many of us are for a two-state solution. Most of us want peace in that land. But what happens there? What happened there this weekend isn't about a two-state solution. This was an attempt at genocide. You see the memes on the internet: punch a Nazi, never again, we're anti-fascists. Yet where are they now? They're standing on the streets describing the inheritors of that ideology, the inheritors of those that want to destroy and murder Jews. They're on the streets screaming praise of them. They're praising this act. And for me, it's both heartbreaking and infuriating. I walk the same streets as these people. They're my neighbors. And to think that they're celebrating the murder of my family is a chilling thought. Simchat Torah is the festival that we celebrated yesterday. I spent the majority of my religious festival, which is meant to be one of the happiest days of the Jewish year, staring at a computer screen, at video monitors, making sure that nobody attacked the worshippers while we prayed.
Are you people dead?
Are you understanding?
Are you people dead?
Yes.
Oh, good. Good. Are they dead? Oh, good. Palestine will be free. 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 Palestine will be free.
Between us and them is that for them they think life begins. For us, we believe that death begins. We believe that life begins at death. We don't care about death. We love death.
As we see Mohammad Hijab, for instance, talk about death. This is their ideology. Their ideology and mainstream theology, unfortunately, in Islam, is the basis of this ideology. He's saying it himself. They love death. They love death. Think about it. Their way of life, their thinking, their values are so far away from our values of the humanity, of human rights, of all the things that we held dear to our hearts and to our, our way of life, our upbringing of our children. I would never teach my children that death is something that we love. No, death is horrible. They hate infidels, they hate criticism of Islam, they hate Jews, and they love violence and death. And they're telling us, they have YouTube platforms telling us all the time.
كل أركانهم ودمر كيانهم اللهم مكننا من رقاب يهود اللهم مكننا من رقاب يهود
فلقد اقترب يوم ذبحكم وصالكم والقضاء عليكم حتى لا يبقى يهودي ولا صهيوني على وجه هذه الأرض. عقيدتنا في قتالكم أننا سنبيدكم على بكرة أبيكم ولن نبقي منكم أحدا.
اقتلوهم حيث ثقفتموه، ما فيش بنعرفش حدد وين ما بنستطيع سنقاومهم.
التي يتبر فيها ملكهم ويباد فيها أبناؤهم.
اللهم عليك باليهود ومن والاهم، اللهم عليك بالأمريكان ومن والاهم، اللهم أحصهم عددا واقتلهم بددا ولا تغادر منهم أحدا.
It's time to stand up for our rights, our well-being, our safety, our way of life, our democracies, our human rights, the equality between men and women. It's time to tell these Islamists off, to tell them that their theology, their literalist approach to the Quran and to the Sunnah, the Prophet's way of life, it's done. We can't have it anymore here in the West. If you want to live like that, you need to find any other place on earth than the Western countries to live in, because supporting the literalist approach is supporting jihad. And we have people now in the Western world clearly telling us that they're supporters of Hamas, supporters of terrorism, supporters of mass killings of Jews, innocent children, women, elderly, people who are at a festival